Welcome to CBS Sports HQ, presented by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Make every moment more. Happy to be alongside Kyle Long and Pete Prisco. I'm Tommy Tran, filling in for Chris Hassel.
Welcome, Tommy.
I'm returning the favor.
It's good to see you.
Yeah. Hassel filled in for me while I was on paternity leave, and he's on vacation for the holidays, so happy to be on a very watched segment here.
We're just here every single week.
You're a grinder, Pete. Everybody knows that. Every holiday, you're working it like you grind tape.
Yep.
And we're going through the power rankings, which culminated with the Packers beating the Saints last night in shutout fashion. But here's a look at the latest power rankings from our Pete Prisco. The biggest movement in terms of the top 10 came from the Commanders with their win over the Eagles. Washington up a couple spots to 8, while Philly goes from 2 to 4. And then down at the bottom, of course, the same type of teams, although there's some movement from the Raiders, although if you ask Raider Nation, perhaps not the best thing for them moving forward.
Dumb.
Very Raiders.
Yeah.
Very Raiders. Yeah, so we'll get to that.
Excrement.
We'll get to that.
Come on, that's a great one.
That's a deep tease. We'll get to that and the Raiders in just a second. But the Packers, which, by the way, Pete Prisco, you've been putting 17 weeks worth of power rankings. Your very first one had the Packers #2 overall, and your pick to go to the Super Bowl. Where are you at with this Packers team after last night?
Love it. The last 2 weeks, really love it. Physical. They get after it in the run game. They can get after you rushing the passer. They're so much more athletic and tougher on defense. Look, my pick before the season was based on Jordan Love being able to throw the football around. I still don't think we've seen the best of that. This team, to me, is the biggest threat to everybody at the top of the NFC right now. And I think they can go on the road and they can win a bunch of games on the road to playoffs.
You know, when you think about the Green Bay Packers, you think about, obviously, the quarterbacks that they've had for so long. And this guy, Jordan Love, is no different. He can get streaky, and when he does, there ain't many people better than him. And obviously, you add to the fact that Jordan Love's a great quarterback, Matt LaFleur, tremendous coach, Josh Jacobs, an absolute ass kicker in the run game. And you could see it from the very onset of last night. We knew it wasn't going to be a Saints win. I didn't know it was going to be a blow the doors off the New Orleans Saints type game, and they set the precedent early. Josh Jacobs taking the honey badger to the ground right there outside the goal line. But this team is built to do this. They can run the football, they can throw it, they've got a litany of options on the outside, and now they get their other tight end back. You know, we've seen Tucker Kraft, we got Luke Musgrave now, so we can get some different personnel. I anticipate them getting more creative and more dangerous as we go.
And they haven't had Alexander, which has made the other corners, like Stokes has been much better than he's ever been, I think, in the last couple weeks. They didn't have Evan Williams last night. I mean, you look at this group, they're getting guys back, they're going to be even better. I love this team. You know, we always talk about the top teams in this league, and we always focus on the quarterback, but the next thing you should always focus on, and we talk about it all the time, is your brethren, the offensive line.
Yeah.
The Packers' offensive line, really good, by the way.
A bunch of guys who don't care if we know their names or not.
They just
we know that that group of 5 guys, they can roll people off the ball.
Yep.
Last 2 weeks, by the way, that Pete's talked about the Packers playing in prime time and playing very well, back into the top 5 in his power rankings. Let's talk about the aforementioned Commanders, who are coming in the top 10 to move a couple slots to 8. Now, Pete, curious to get your thoughts on if you consider to move them up even higher given the 5 turnover performance. Jalen Hurts going out with a concussion. Take me through the Commanders here at #8.
Yeah, and I think you have to look at some of that stuff. I mean, they beat a team that didn't have their starting quarterback, essentially, and they did it by not, you know, the offense still scored points for the Eagles. It wasn't like they stopped the Eagles. It's just that they went against a really good defense and scored. So I didn't want to move them that far up. I think what we saw is look, a great quarterback had his moment. I wrote that at the top. You know, the Hail Mary was a moment, but that's an accident. This was a moment you get the ball with a chance to go win it 53 yards away, and you go do it. That's with 6 seconds left. That's your moment. He's arrived. He told everybody. Everybody now knows it's not. And when they get to the postseason, that moment will stand out because it can be leading to something else. So I love what they did the other day.
Yeah, and we always talk about culture being a big thing that determines success. They've got a guy in Dan Quinn who instills a tremendous culture. You add that to Jaden Daniels, you know, otherworldly talents at the quarterback position. Anything can happen on any given Sunday. When you got that guy at quarterback, look, he throws an interception with like 5 minutes to go, and I'm firing up my tweets because I'm a big Caleb guy, so I got to stay on that side of the aisle. But then the guy just does doesn't blink. He goes out there, drives them down the field, no time left on the clock. Touchdown, Commanders. It is frustrating to watch if you're playing against Jane Daniels every week.
You need to get on the other side of the aisle quickly.
Man, I bleed orange and blue, navy and orange.
I mean, look,
actually.
Caleb Williams has played some good football too, but the other guy's special.
He's special.
He's special.
Yeah, he certainly is. Again, the Commanders' win total coming into the season, 6.5. They blew by that. Had a little bit of a hiccup there, but has come back nicely there to make that playoff push. Take a look now from 11 through 20. We're going to talk about a couple of teams here on that list. But let's first start with the Houston Texans, Pete, which went into Arrowhead, was unable to get that victory against Kansas City, but they have no movement for you in your power rankings.
No, and again, they're a team that's a playoff team. They won a division, but they won a division in a horrible division for a bad year. I mean, it's a bad year for that division. The Jaguars stink. The Titans really stink. Both those teams really stink, and then the Colts aren't really that good. So they won the division. Kudos to them, but it wasn't a great division. I don't think they've played very well this year. I don't think C.J. Stroud has played very well this year. And so when I look at them, I say to myself, yeah, they're a playoff team, but do you have a feel that they're a good playoff team? No, you don't. And so I'm worried about this team, even though they are a playoff team.
You know, they got injuries, too. I mean, we're taking a look at Tank Dell right now and an emotional C.J. Stroud. And you have to think that this is a culmination of not only the lack of success that they have had offensively, the step back that C.J. Stroud has made, whether it's his fault or the offensive lines or Bobby Slowick's. All that stuff kind of catches up to you. And then when you see your buddy go down, you can see the emotion on the face of their leader. And I think it's indicative of this Houston Texans program right now.
And I know why they're playing that. Jack, our producer, is clearly playing that video to
tug at your heartstrings?
To light me up. That's what he's trying to do. Look, and I said it on the podcast today. I think he went overboard with it. I really do. And all fairness to the kid, you're entitled to grieve or whatever way you want to. Me personally, he go over there, he's your best friend, get on a knee, pray with him, tell him you're so sorry about it, and then step away. You're the quarterback of that football team. You can't be showing the rest of those guys that you're a broken down mess in that moment. And then he took it to the bench. That's my only criticism of him. Look, more power to you. You can grieve any way you want to. But it's also, from a football standpoint, when I look at that, I don't think it's a good look for your starting quarterback to be on the sideline with the towel over his head crying in the big moment. You disagree with me. I know you do.
We can all agree that sometimes we forget that these guys are human, particularly the superstars. Well, we just saw from C.J. Stroud that he's very much human, and he obviously does have a very unique and special relationship with Tank Dell. That being said, you are the leader of the football team, and guys are looking to you to carry on with their, I'm looking at you to see what you're going to be doing as the quarterback, and that's probably how I'm going to go.
The fact that he addressed it a couple different times tells me that he probably thought he went a little overboard.
He regrets it.
Yeah.
But in the moment, you can understand it, given everything that they've
You forget you're on TV. You forget that people are watching.
The TV, look, the TV part of it, who cares what we think? I'm talking about from a football standpoint. If I was on that team, I would have gone to that sideline and said, okay, CJ, enough's enough. It's time to get your head back into the game, and we got to go out and play football.
I don't know if you say get your head back in the game, but you say, hey, we got to lock in here. Let's go. We got a game to play.
Get your head
locked in.
somewhere else.
I feel bad for the Texans, though.
It's terrible. Look, and we all want Tank Dell back. He's a great player. I want him on the field, and I get it. He's one of his best friends, but you're the quarterback of that team, and he had to handle it a little bit differently, I thought.
Who knows? Culmination of things. Diggs is out.
I wonder if he liked when Brady threw the surfaces.
Right? There you go.
Just,
What's that?
Just something to ponder. What'd you think about Tom Brady chucking surfaces when he played?
Yeah, that's different. That's a different
era.
But no.
Okay.
Oh, it's okay to cry now? Is that what you're saying, Tommy?
No, you're be emotional.
Your generation's more emotional
than our
generation.
I cry with Tommy all the time.
Well, we can all
About
cry.
you.
We can all cry together.
Well, we do when we lose our best bets, but that's a little bit later on in the show.
Oh, that happened. Then I have no tears left.
Well, you have a lot of the tears that you cried out this year. All right, let's get to the Falcons, who cracked the top 20, and because of the Bucs loss, all of a sudden, Atlanta looking pretty good for the division. They made the switch to quarterback from Kirk Cousins to Michael Penix Jr., Pete. So what are we thinking about Atlanta coming into this week?
You'd still rather be the Bucs. And the reason I say that is Atlanta has to go to Washington to play the Commanders. The Bucs have Carolina and the Saints at home. And I'd rather be in the Bucs situation rather than where the Falcons are. And if you look at the Falcons, the rookie quarterback's going to make his first start on the road. Look, he made his first start at home. That's all well and good, but now you're going out on the road, and it's an entirely different thing. He made some good throws, he made some bad throws, made some good decisions, some bad decisions. Wasn't great, wasn't awful. But now you're out on the road against a team that's coming off a big victory and is also playing to push for the postseason. So I'd rather be the Bucs, Even though the Bucs didn't play well the other night, I'd rather be the Bucs than be the Falcons right now.
Here's the problem with the Falcons. They had a quarterback that was shooting 10 over par, and they brought in a new guy, and he shot par, and it was good enough to beat the New York Giants. But when you play against Jaden Daniels, you're playing against a guy who's going to be about 6 under after the first 18. And the issue with being a rookie is you're going to try to speed up, try to match that. It's going to be tough to do. And obviously, you're not playing just against the Washington Commanders defense. You got to match what Jaden Daniels can do on offense, and I just don't see it happening.
You know what you could
for
do?
The Falcons.
You could just be like some of our hosts around here that put in their 4, 5,
cheating.
5, 5.
I know you're not looking at me.
That was par.
Okay,
that was par.
Okay, yeah.
No, because
me putting the ball, Bogey.
Yeah, here's my ball.
Me putting the scores in that fast couldn't be you.
No, I do take my time with everything.
You know what I'm talking about, right, Brandon?
I knew it wasn't me. It's all I got to say.
I got to see this in person.
Yeah, we got to get out there. Once football season's over.
5.
Especially down here in South Florida. Okay, we talked about the Raiders here. They won. But then they start coming down the draft order, Pete. So they rise in your power rankings. But it's interesting just given the Antonio Pierce comments this week, because would you think if he knew he had a little more job security, that next year was in line, that perhaps he wouldn't have said what he said this week?
No, players want to play to win. Coaches want to coach to win. I get it. I understand it. But it doesn't do the organization any good. I mean, look, you go out there, you want to do your very best. Everybody's watching you. That's your audition tape, even if you're not with the Raiders. The eye in the sky, it watches every move you make.
Yep.
So you go out and play. And coaches want to win, too. That's what they are. We're competitive. Competitive drive wants you to win. But for the good of the organization, it wasn't a good thing. So they clearly didn't get the call down. Let them score late in the game. Let them score. You know, the call from the owner's box. And they stopped Jacksonville, and they won the game. Winning isn't good for this organization. Now they're out of the top 2 picks, and so they're going to have to do some maneuvering to go get a quarterback. And if you don't have a quarterback and you don't fix it, you have major problems. I laid out a plan today how they can fix it. Vikings signed Sam Darnold to extension. Tom Brady, Michigan man, trades for J.J. McCarthy, Michigan man. The Vikings don't have a lot of assets. They traded up to get McCarthy. They traded up to get Dallas Turner. You can replenish your draft stock by trading J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy becomes the starting quarterback for the Raiders, and Sam Darnold's the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings.
Boom.
Matchmaker.
I mean, that's pretty sick.
He did the whole Prisco-isms where he just does all the matches.
Back to the Raiders and winning that game. The funny thing is you watch Brock Bowers all smiles after the game in a post-game interview, and he's been fantastic. And what a home run they hit with him on the offensive side of the ball. But if only he realized that a win hinders his performance in the future.
For his future,
right.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, although I looked at the stat there, him with Aiden O'Connell, he's getting targeted like 10, 11 times every single game.
Well, the opening play of the game, he went like 40 yards. They forgot he was on the field. It was incredible.
All right, take a look at the rest of Prisco's power rankings. Say that 3 times fast on CBSSports.com. Pushing the Pile with Kyle Long and Mike Renner, where Pete is a regular guest. You know, I was almost expecting Pete to come in with the crew neck there, Kyle.
Yeah.
There was that one week where he came in, you guys both had the crew neck.
I actually had a shirt on today for the show. It was a Christmas shirt, and it said, instead of giving you gifts, I give you my opinion.
It's a great shirt.
I like that.
Yeah.